Hey guys, this is Ress and Nique, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we are having an interesting conversation. We're talking about free spirits and those who see free spirits and just automatically feel the need to try to tame them. And this is such a weird and uncomfortable dynamic. I feel like if you're a person that has a little bit of a free spirit, you've probably encountered a lot. I feel like when you have a free spirit, you attract people who are cagers. You attract a lot of folks. And it's weird because you'll be like, you see me over here with my big hair and my love of colors and my like outside the boxness and still feel the need to then completely try to change me. And
Mhm.
so today we're going to talk about this because this is usually a really tough emotional experience. And we're going to explore what it feels like to sense that someone who you met who at first felt like thought you were just so magical, slowly trying to control and change you. And we're also going to look on the other side. What it might feel like to be the person trying to tame the other person and kind of change their being. And I think one of the things when I think about this is like it's always so interesting because it's like people see these free spirits and think, you know what this person needs? Structure. This person needs structure. This person needs a leash. And this is a person who is very clear they don't like leashes. This is someone who has like tattooed on them no structure. And yet these people, they'll see and meet just like a human version of a whirlwind and go, yeah, I got to cage this chaos. And I'm going to take this like feral artist and turn them into like a CPA, 9 to 5 tax paying partner who jogs on Thanksgiving Day with the family. And I guess our biggest question is what is it about being free that just makes people feel the need to change you, feel the need to cage you? It's almost as if they're saying, how dare you simply exist without a planner? This, I need to bring some type of order into your life. And here's the thing, yep, you probably don't.
Mhm.
Nick, what are your thoughts on this?
I consider myself sometimes a free spirit. I am like, I don't know. And I had friends that be like, okay, this is how you do it, or this like structure. And I just look at them like, that's not what I want to do. And sometimes my free spirit can like irritate some of my friends. And I had friends try to like, say like write out the structures. I'm like, thanks for helping me. But that's just not what I want to do. And it's funny that I'm this way. I don't think I'm as free spirit as I used to be, but it's just funny I'm this way because I was raised with structure or raised with all those things. So maybe that's why I'm like, just let me breathe, just let me live, just let me do. Because I'm the type of person, like you said, I can go out and talk to 50 million people and like loving life and just being in the moment, or I get things done, but it's no structure in how I get it done, or I know where things are. And know where things are in my messy chaos. But sometimes it can be overwhelming for me, but it is even more overwhelming when people try to look at me sideways and it's like, but why did you do that? But because it makes me feel good, because I'm happy. This
Yeah.
is what I want to do. And I don't like the questions, or I don't like, and I think like all of my friends say I do what I want to when I do it. And I think it is because I feel like y'all trying to block me down, and that's not what I want to
You do
do.
not do good with control. You do not do
No,
good with
I
control.
don't whatsoever.
Even if
Even
it's
like
good for
my
you do not good with
yes, that's why I'm like,
control.
why do you have such a structured job? Or why did I don't I'm thinking like where you were talking, like it's crazy that I have such a structured job. Because I get like my supervisor is really nice, but it's just like sometimes if you like get on me about something, I'm like, okay, it's gonna get done. Like I mean, I don't know say it to her hair, to her face. But I be thinking like this is gonna get done, and we still gonna get the job done. We're still gonna be great. We're still gonna be protective. People are still gonna love us because I still get love. I still get respect from people, but it's just like it's definitely in my own way, and it's no like rush to get it done. I was thinking of even like dating, like dating, like or you know
Pisces.
out of towner. A Pisces
Yeah.
is creative, but an out of towner dater person. So
Mhm,
all my dates are out of town. And for
mhm,
example, like recently, I saw somebody. I'll be there. We're gonna have fun. I'll be there at 8. They knew. I knew. They knew it wasn't gonna happen because it's
mhm.
just like I'm glad that the people that love me give me that grace because always have really really great intentions, but it's just my free spirit is just like it's gonna happen. But then I have to like it's harder for me. Like I love my people around me, so I try to like I try to make an effort to do exactly I try to make efforts, but it's it's still hard. And I
Mhm.
just love that my people love me because sometimes it might be hard to love a free spirit. Sometimes it's hard to explain our thinking patterns. So, yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
as you're talking, I also want to point out also free spirits can look like a lot of different things. I think sometimes when we say free spirit, we are thinking very hippy dippy, very kind of like, what are you? I'm an artist. How
Mhm.
do you make money? I pray to the gods. So you're just like, okay, like, but I think free spirits can look like a lot of things because yeah, I would categorize you as a free spirit, but I think people who don't really know you well might not also say that because you are
Yeah, yeah.
structured in certain ways. There are certain things you are very, very traditionalist about, and
Mhm.
there's other
Mhm.
things completely not. And
Mhm.
even when I think of myself, I think I definitely am a free spirit on some parts, but there's some parts I'm completely not at all. There's some parts I'm very much like, speaking of you being a Pisces, like I'm a Gemini, but like I'm a Capricorn rising. Like, so like, yeah, there's a part of me that's like fun and like, and I'm a Gemini with my son in the fifth house. So I'm very much like creativity. Let's have fun. Let's do this outside the box. Let's look at it this way. And I'm very okay with marching to the beat of my own drummer. As much as I make comments about like my daughter, she's very much a march to the beat of your own drummer type of child. And I always make comments like, oh, it's so hard to parent this, but I know she gets it from me. Like, I know that's
Mhm.
100% me. But on the flip side of that, like, there's other areas of my life I make completely, completely structure. And as you were talking, I was thinking about that too. Like, the areas you're extremely traditional is the areas I'm very free and I'm very open. The areas I'm very strict and like, hey, this are the areas that you are very, very free on. Because as you were talking, like with me, work, I'm very structured
Mhm.
with work. Yeah. If it
Mhm.
has anything to do with my money, if it has anything to do with my career, if it has anything, yeah, just career wise, like I'm very structured. I'm very much like, okay, so you're not happy. Okay. So let's type up your resume, send me your stuff over. I'm gonna say, okay, this is how you network. Okay, I want you to go to this job. Like I'm very much that. And I think it's something I kind of struggle with at times. Um, One of the things I always say I'm low key fearful of, I'm pretty sure one of my clients have found the podcast, but I've always been fearful of my clients finding my podcast because I'm like, y'all don't need to know personal life me. Personal life me
Mhm.
is very different than professional me. Me and Ashley have kind of like had jabs about this before because she was like, I meet all the time all around. And I'm like, girl, okay, well, I'm multidimensional. Like, no, I don't
Yeah.
bring I
I
don't
guess so.
bring personal life me into work. Like personal life me need to stay out. Personal life me
Mhm.
professional me butt heads. Like let's not do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so also want to bring up like it can sometimes look like that. It can look like there's certain areas that like no, I very much am more of a stickler, and yet there's others where it is not. And for me, um, you talked about it really happening in friendships. I don't know if it's happening. I know it has happened in friendships, but it doesn't bother me because I am very much a kind of like you, except for again, and I say this all the time. My friends, we're so much alike, but we're also so completely different. I think for like with you, when we are like having stuff and we're like, hey, Nick, well, maybe you should do this. And you'll listen. And like, and then you'll just go and do it your own way. And me, I feel like when y'all be telling me stuff, I'm like, first of all, I can tell before y'all tell me. I'm like, this is what I'm about to do. So it really isn't a thing I feel like I recognize bigly. Um, well, I did actually have it come up in friendship this year. This is the first time I've actually really noticed it in friendship, and it wasn't really an issue. It was just more so annoying. Of like, why you keep trying to push this on me? Why do you keep insisting to put me in this
Mhm.
box? But I feel like
Mhm.
for me, it's more relationships. I think because I present a certain way, I attract very I attract a very particular type of men that have their life written out. And
Mhm.
they want you to check these boxes and they want to put you in this formula. And I think it always shocked men. The type of men that are generally attracted to me, it always shocked them because they're like, oh, okay. I see what you're educated, and I can take you to, my
Mhm.
mentor, and they'll be impressed. And it's like, yeah, man. But like, also, like, I am going to talk to you about aliens at night. And I'm gonna also, I am going to have moments where I'm just like, I like wearing my hair big.
Mhm.
I like bright colors. But you know, there have these moments where it clashes. And so I think for relationships, for me, is where I see it the most, where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, when you met me, this was me, and it was cute and quirky. But I see you trying to be like, oh, I feel like I've had this thought a couple times in a couple different relationships of like, you fell in love with the idea of me.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
reality of me is what you're trying to change. Because
Yeah.
on paper,
Mhm.
yes, I'm very educated. Yes, on paper, yes, I can work different rooms. You could take me to meet your mentors and they'll be impressed. You could take me to meet mama and they'll be impressed as well. Yes, if you want to present, and you know, this is a reoccurring, this is what's a big thing for me. I always meet men who are like, I want to be a black power couple. We gon' and then you gonna get this, you gonna get this, and together we gonna build this company, we're gonna blah 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 blah. Like it is a thing. I feel like I constantly meet that man. And I'm always just like, "Oh, okay, let's see. All right, that's cool." And then slowly I start realizing, like, oh, you have invented this idea of who you think I am. And I think that's who you're falling in love with.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
once they realize it's not, it's like a anger towards you. It's like, but you never gave me the chance to see who I am. And even with like, I dated this one guy, and it was like I admired him a lot because he had all this stuff together and all these things, and he just seemed so prestigious. But then I was just like being my own goofy self, and then he was just like like he laughed a little bit. I was like, okay, I can't do this. It's like he's too uptight. It's like you got to breathe a little bit. You got to breathe, and it's like they want certain parts of you, but other parts is like a change. And it's like
Mhm.
I don't do too good with people trying to box me in,
Yeah.
especially in relationships. I just like, yeah. But even going back to like with you, I like you said, like you take your career serious, your money serious. I admire that about you because if you want to do something, you're gonna just get up and do it. And for me, it happens, but in my head, I never really know how I got there. It's just like I'm going with the wind. It's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I don't know if I'm manifesting it or what. And sometimes I just get up and say, we're gonna do it this day. Just like me having my house.
Yeah.
I got up and I said, tomorrow, you know what? I'm gonna go see, can I get a loan? I just walked on to there. I walked there on my break,
Yeah.
got my loan. Like, I'm gonna get my house now. So it's just like for me, it just happens so freely. But
Yeah.
I always admire that about you because if you say you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it. But I say it and I think about it and it happens, but I just don't know the process of how I got there. So
Yeah.
I definitely do admire your structure, and it does help me sometimes when I really need it. Like, and I appreciate you like, okay, I'm gonna do this for her because I think she needs this, and it works. That's like with therapy. Like, give me a list. Okay, I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call
Look.
him. And once I was like dating a guy, and he started doing, I'm like, oh, you're the best because I need that. I need those things. Got me a doctor, got me everything, little
Yeah.
things I need. So it's a way to not change the person, but I guess assist. And if they want to take it, they can take it, but don't be offended if they don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love the way that you explained that because yeah, there are still things where like if you're a person who is more type A or you just have more type A in certain areas where it doesn't like, okay, so this is never going to work, but you can work on it. Like I know with me and Nick, just like
Mhm.
you explained, there are certain things like there was a time like I was worried about you being depressed. And so I kept being like, are you going to therapy? Are you going to therapy?
Mhm.
You kept like, I'm going to, but I can't find nobody. I just be so tired. And so yeah, I went. I was like, what's your health insurance? Where's your okay? Do you need it to be in person? And I wrote her a list of like, I read
Yes.
their profiles. These people seem like they'll match with you. Sent them out, and I was on that ass. Did you do your consultation? Did you do your
Yes.
consult? Did you have a follow up? Did you check and see how much?
I even say that with my boss, like I need accountability. So we're gonna do supervision next week so you can make sure I do this stuff that you do. It's like just knowing what works for you. And that
Yeah,
worked for me, would you give me the therapist? And then the guy that I was dating, when he's giving me doctors, he's like, you're sleepy all the time. We need to get you in a doctor. I looked through that list, got that doctor, made that appointment. It's just I guess I need accountability, but some free spirits don't even probably I don't for me like just sprinkling little things that might assist me. It
hmm
helps me. So it's the ways of going by it without offending.
It
It's ways.
is.
Just have to know your free spirit friend.
Yeah, and just like figure out what works for them. Cause I just
Yeah.
send Neek TikToks. I'm like, we've been talking about this and she not taking me serious. Let me send her this in cartoon video form.
Oh. And I was like, you know what? This is good stuff. I'll be thinking like, it clicks in my head like we talked about that, but
We
she's
did.
trying to be slick with that. Thank you for telling me that.
But you know what? It can be. Again, I had this kind of come up in a friendship earlier this year, and I think it was the first time it like really bothered me because usually I'm just kind of very much like, all right, well, I'm gonna do me. And the way that it came up was just kind of it made me feel like, and me and you kind of talked about this. It made me feel like, do you really like who I am? Like, do you like me? Like, I had a whole moment where like, I'm not sure you like me because I felt like I was
Mhm,
getting picked on a lot. I felt like I would
mhm,
say stuff, I would do stuff, and I would get corrected.
mhm,
Like, because I kept getting the feedback I felt like I kept getting back from this person is like, hmm, why you still do that? You should do it this way. Do you know other people don't do this way? Do you know? And it was really, again, it just kept feeling, I feel like a lot of times when you are like the free for spirits person, matter of fact, I'll even use another example. The way I remember on the podcast, I was really concerned about, like, I had a client that I'm pretty sure found me on the podcast. Hi, client, please stop listening. But I'm pretty sure found me on the podcast because they came across our TikTok and they had liked it a post and I panicked. I was like, no, I'm hiding from my clients. I want to have a personal life outside of this. And it's perfectly okay. They were very respectful, never brought it up. But I had like brought it up and the way that they responded to me was like, well, that's how you choose to present yourself on the podcast. So, you know, maybe if you didn't present yourself that way, you wouldn't have panicked. And it hurt my feelings so much. And in fact, I don't even think at that moment I even communicated with them that it hurt my feelings because I was
mhm,
caught so off guard. And
mhm,
because this person had other things going on in their life, felt like me bring up the conversation like this is not the time to add a burden to them. Um,
mhm,
but I kept having little comments like that where it just kind of felt like, again, it feels like being picked at because I was all of these things always. And we eventually had a slight conversation about it where I was just like, I don't get what you mean. Why do I present myself like that on the podcast? And like, well, sometimes you just do too much. Sometimes you're more extra than you are in real life. And I felt really taken aback by that. And I was like, this is who I am. This is literally the podcast is me talking to my friends. And so I didn't feel, I was like, there's always been this side of me. There's always been, I was like, I'm a very, multi-dimensional person. So, yep, you're right. There are times that you will catch me at like a music festival and I'm in the back with a book reading and a margarita, and that's chill rest. That's definitely a part of rest. But there's also another part of rest that's like most of my 20s, I was at every rally, every protest, like let them know, okay, this is the backpacks we need so they can't charge our phones. This is what we going like plotting, plotting and scheming. Like there's both of those sides can coexist. And yeah, it feels that caginess. Like there's only
mhm.
some of me that you accept. And if I step out of those
That
sides,
part,
I'm
yeah.
not still sure I'm acceptable to you.
I think I had the same thing, and I was like, "Well, you're just always so extra," and
Mhm.
that hurt my feelings. It's like, "What do you mean? Because I'm emotional? What I'm trying to express myself that comes off extra. That's too much." So it's just like, but the thing is too, is I guess addressing it, which both of us sometimes we just like, yeah,
Mhm.
and are we giving them a pass? But then it just becomes too much, and it's just like the same thing. Do you even like me, bro?
Yeah.
You don't like me, and this too much for you. Because like I don't like the you're doing too much or you're just extra. I don't like that. I don't like that being said to me or you're presenting yourself a certain way here, you're presenting yourself a certain way here. You can have different levels of yourself, and one part is not fake and phony, and the other isn't.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
just like that simple.
can we like really can we stress like people could be multidimensional? I'm a big believer different people in different environments can bring different things out of you.
Right,
There
right.
are, I'm not even gonna talk on friendships, like I'm talking relationships. There are certain people I have
Mhm.
dated who are like Rice is quiet and reserved. And there's other people that was like, she will set your shit on fire. What are you talking about? Like but there are people bring different things out.
They do. Like you seen the worst of the worst for me, and then you see the best of the best. And it was
Mhm,
just like some so toxic. Some people can make you a little baby doll, like a
mhm.
little princess. So it's just like
And
it
some
depends.
people can make you feel safe.
Yes,
And
yes,
so,
yes.
yeah, when I feel safe, what am I like when I feel safe?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
maybe and I do wonder that sometimes I do wonder if there's a projection around like, wow, is this what you're like with people who make you feel safe? And then kind of this like anger, like, why aren't you like that with me? With the
Mm.
people who sometimes want to cage you. I have had that thought. There's one particular person that used to be in my life where I really wondered if that was it. Um, because I remember we were out at this thing and I was just having such a good time and I was very lively and I was very active. And with them, I weren't. And I had to recognize the reason, and it's something I didn't realize until years later. And I had to realize the reason why they didn't get to see like more animated, fun jazz me is because I always had to be the one to handle everything. I could not allow
Mhm.
myself to like just be carefree around them because I couldn't
Mhm.
trust you. If anything happened, did not feel like I could trust you to handle things. I didn't feel like I could trust you to make the right decision.
Yeah.
I was so reserved because I felt like I was running everything in the background.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, like, when you're seeing me out in this moment with that was somebody I dated. And I remember one time they saw me out with people who I love. I think actually it was you. With people I love, just me and more animated, more fun, more goofy, more just spirited. And it like angered them. And I was just like, why? Why is this a thing? Why is this angering you? And it wasn't until years later that I was like, oh, I think it angered them because they're like, there's this other whole other version of you that I don't get access to. And how dare you give this part of you to other people?
Yeah. So what does it like really feel like when someone tries to tame you? I guess it could feel like just subtle signs or just little remarks here and there, like, I wouldn't do it that way, or that's too much. And it seems like gentle or soft, but it's really kind of gaslighting too, if you think
Mhm.
about it. Or just trying to like belittle you, and it's more because they just don't like that part about you, or it's just too much for them to handle.
That
Still too
constant, "Why are you like this?"
yeah, yeah. Like, why are you doing this? Why didn't you do it this way? And they're trying to do it, like, so soft, and it's still a lot, though. It's still belittling who you are as a person
Yeah. And
overall.
here's the thing, it's not to say that you can't observe people and notice that they're doing something harmful and be like, "Hey, do you know
Mhm,
there's a better way?" That's not what we're saying, but what we're saying is when you are picking at core personality details about a person. I
mhm,
know for me, I like a lot of different things. I have a lot of different interests, and so
yeah,
this month, I'll do biking straight 4 times a week for, like, 6 months, and then won't bike again and be like, "Oh, okay, let me go to painting." And we'll buy all the paint
mhm.
supplies and then get into painting super heavy for, like, 3 months. "Maybe I wanna try a pottery class," and I'll do stuff like that, right? And I like
Mhm.
being like that. I like having being kind of a jack of all trades. I like trying different stuff, and I remember I once at one point in time had somebody in my life that was just like, "Well," it was something they had to write up about me, and they're like, "Well, ask what about your hobbies?" And I was just like, "Well, I like a little bit of everything. That's not, stables are like I like reading." I was like, "Stables, I do like traveling or whatever." And we got into this long conversation, but at the end of it, they kind of was like picking at like, "Well, yeah, you never stay and settle in anything, and like, how you ever gonna post to geek at stuff?" I said, "Oh, I'm good at the stuff I want to be good at." And then I like trying other stuff. I get bored easily, and I don't understand
Mhm.
why. And they're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, because I had told them a story apparently years before where I had mentioned that I do wish my parents kind of made me stick with things because I had a parents who really didn't want to take me to the stuff, like the after school activities type things anyway. And so
Same.
the minute I wanted to quit, they're just like, okay, because they didn't want to drive me. And so, did I do gymnastics? Yeah, for 6 months. Did I do swimming? Yeah, for 3 months. Did I do cheerleading? For a month and a half. Like, I had that kinda going on in my childhood at different periods in time, and they brought
Mhm.
that up. And I was like, "Yeah," and they was like, "Well, maybe that's why you can't finish anything now, that's da 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 da." And we kinda got into it because it took me aback, and I'm like, "I finished my bachelor's. I finished my master's.
Mhm.
I got my
Mhm.
associate license. I was like, the things I want to do, I will do.
Do it, and that's just clear,
And
and
I
it's
gave them other
yeah.
examples and that's what shocked me is too, because I feel like there's a lot of people who really know me and they're like, no, when Ress wants to do something, Ress does it and Ress gets it done. And so it was so weird to me that it was bugging them that just like hobby type things are just for me to enjoy. That I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I have so much structure in this area that in my personal life, I do like to have less structure. I do want to be more creative. I want to be more fun. I want to be more playful. And they just like kept picking it apart and kept like, well, no, you need to stick to something and you need da. And it felt it to them, they kept going back to because when I was like, yo, what is your beef? It was like, well, I'm just trying to help you be better. And I'm like, at painting?
Okay.
I'm not a painter.
Yeah, and that
I
is
wanted
yeah.
to relax. It helped me to relax. Is it because you're better at me, or are you trying to nitpick at me into something that feels more
Yeah,
suitable for you?
yeah. Or like, yeah, like you said, like chipping you little by little to make you into the perfect structure that they created or something. It's like, but you can't put me in a box. Like you can't do
Yeah.
that. And how is that better? How are you trying to make me better because I'm finding stuff that I like and it's creativity, it's fun. I'm finding new hobbies. You don't have to have just one.
You
Like you're
don't.
great at painting. You like to bike ride. You like to do nature walks. These are great things. You don't have to just do. You don't have to master a hobby. A hobby isn't something you have to master.
Mhm.
I don't think it's just something I enjoy doing. I just enjoy doing these things.
Every year when I do my new like list for the new year of like, okay, things I want to do list, I always put on there, find something that you do just for the joy of it. I think it's so important to have things in your life that you do for no other reason than it brings me joy. I don't get money
Mm-hmm.
from it. I don't get fame from it. I'm not doing it to get followers. I'm not doing it to get prestige. I'm not doing it so other people know I'm that girl. Like I do it
Mm-hmm.
for no other reason than it makes me happy. And I think, at least for me, it's a big part of what makes me feel balanced in life is that I'm not always in this work mode. I'm not always in this grind. I gotta do because da, da, da. Everything has to be a scheme mode. That for me leads to depression. That for me leads to sadness. That for me leads to resentment. I've done it before. I've had periods in my life where like everything in my life was so about trying to reach the next goal. And so, yeah, it's so weird to me that that was a thing that was like kind of being picked apart, but it was again someone who met me as like Rest the professional. And so I think they just had this idea of me like, oh, you mark these certain check boxes. So yeah, this is who I think you're going to be. This is who I've decided I love. And for me, it was just also like, oh yeah, I also like dancing in the rain. Like I also will wake up on a Saturday with no plan and be like, let's see where the day takes us. And just literally rumble around
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta until
Mm-hmm.
find my fun. Literally, we'll talk to strangers in 5 points,
Yeah.
end up having lunch with them, having the whole day. And like that's a part of me too. And they just was like, nah.
Yeah, that's irritating. That's irritating. And like you said, I don't like the you have to do this in order to do that, be my friend. Like I think like within like last year and this year, I have been I mean, I went through mental illness things. I
Mhm,
like trying to find myself. Like, I don't know, for some reason 35 and 36 was like an awakening in some
mhm.
sorts. But then it was just like in that awakening, I feel like I rattled some feathers.
Yeah.
And here we go. It's just like, you too much, sis. Like, I'm not gonna answer your calls no more. You're doing too much. Like, I don't know. It's just like that's when you start to figure out, like, yeah, this isn't working for them. It's working for you. Let's regroup, or this isn't it. So it just kind of turns me off when people may try to put you in this box or try to restructure your life, and it's just
Yeah.
like be there, assist,
Yeah.
witness.
And here's
Let's
the
get to this
thing.
one.
Y'all can decide if a person's too much and decide to pull away. That's not
That's
the issue.
okay.
Pull away.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna pull away, pull away. Don't try to then tear me apart before you pull away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And undermine me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I feel
Yeah.
like when you are that person who can be more of a free spirit in certain areas or in all areas, what I think some people really think they are doing is helping. I really think there are some people who think they're helping. There are some people who are thinking that I am correcting you. But again, like you said, do I need correction? And because to me, it makes me start to wonder, like, second guess my intuition, second guess my natural instincts. Am I? Am I? And I don't like to be in places that make me feel that when I'm just being authentically me.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
appreciate correction. I appreciate someone being like, hey, no, you got to take accountability. And I feel like that's something I've been working really hard on for the last couple of years. I feel like in my early 20s and earlier, accountability was not my thing. That was definitely a part of my healing journey, like learning to be accountable, learning to just be like, nope, I did that. That was wrong. Let me correct myself. However, there's certain things that, again, when you are just picking at the way a person naturally is, that's not telling them accountability. That's not telling them, that's not helping them be better. You I just might not be the person to be for you. I might not be the
Mhm.
friend for you. I might not be the partner for you. And that's okay. Let me be and don't try to tear me down to conform to whatever is your idea of who I should be or what
Yeah.
aligns better with you.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
So, some examples of like caging behavior is like they praise you for your like wild ideas, your adventurous nature, your curiosity, only when it aligns with their agenda. So I'll give you an example. This was a relationship when I was dating this guy, and very, very in finance type of guy. Just air sign in, just they're not great. And they actually really love being able to tell people like, yeah, she's a social worker, she's so great, da, 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 da. But they love being able to like talk to people about like she is a helper and she's smart and she has her, and she has these degrees. Oh, and she's working so she can get fully licensed and she wants to run her own practice. She blah blah. I had never said I want to run my own practice, whatever.
Mhm.
He liked being able to use that like social work part, right? Because he was able to brag, like, yeah, she's so caring, she cares about the world, she knows about what's going on in human rights, justice system, blah, 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 blah. And then hate it though when like we're at the party. We went to this thing with his friends, and everybody was really, really sweet about it. But like there was a topic where they were making fun. I won't get into details, but there was people making fun of like human suffering, and I had to speak up, like, "Yo, actually, what's going on? This is systematic injustices, and so while you guys are looking at the end result and laughing, like, and these people they fools and blah blah blah. This is what this is actually happening. This is what this pipeline is. Let me show you how injustice works. Like, got real social worky on that ass. He did not like that, and I was like, but remember, you like when I'm a social worker. You like being able to
Mhm.
say she starts for justice, but you want certain types of justices. You want justices when it doesn't make your company uncomfortable. You want justices when I'm not saying, hey, so let's talk about the misogyny in your tone when you were saying that. And let's talk about how insensitive that was to all rape victims. That is when it was an issue. As
Mhm.
it's perfectly fine in its praise as long as it fits their agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. So another caging behavior or example is just they frame your independence as being too selfish, or you're too free spirit. You don't care about us, or you don't want to work on us, or you don't want to do things to conform to me. So you're selfish. And it just makes it, I don't know. I think and they try to make you feel bad for wanting to be free spirit,
Mhm.
wanting to be independent, wanting to discover new things. I think even with me, after I had my child, I had to take times to be like, I'm just gonna do this by myself, or I'm just gonna do this with me and my child. And then so like some people will say, why didn't you invite me? But it's just like sometimes it's just like I'm just getting up and going. I'm just exploring. I'm enjoying this time to explore. I'm trying to just like it became easier for me to be the free spirit and learning new things about me without any outside noises. I became even more of a free spirit going through like traumatic situations. It's just like I just really love to feel without any outside voices. Like, and it's
Mhm.
really been good for me. But sometimes that might have ruffled feathers where before it's like cling, 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 or hang, hang, hang. And sometimes I just really need to have that freedom to do these things, or freedom even with me doing stuff with just me and my daughter instead of like me and my whole family. Sometimes it's just like we just want to because we
Ooh.
have the same.
No, I'm just saying, no, that's a big one. That's a really good
Oh,
one.
like I say sometimes I was supposed to. So just me and my daughter are free spirits. So
Mhm.
she's a little bit structured, like her auntie Ress, but we definitely like to get out there and just vibe and dance
Mhm.
together. We don't care
Yeah.
who's looking at us. And sometimes that just doesn't work for others. So it's just like it's not about trying to conform to you. And I always care. I care about everybody. And free spirits, they care about you. But it's just like don't try to box them in and feel some type of way when they want to have that freedom and independence, because that is just them. And it doesn't take away the love for you in any way.
Yeah, and I agree because it's like, again, they want to tone down your individuality. I think this is something in romantic relationships is like, I want to love you and you love me, and we still be our own separate people. We don't have to morph into one. And sometimes that's what it can feel like when someone is trying to cage you. It's kind of like, be more like me, be more like me. Let me consume you, let me swallow you whole. And that can be such a suffocating feeling. And don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, I'm all for deep, passionate, tense relationships. I still. But like in this midst of all that, I still need my alone time. In the midst of all of that, I still want my own ideas and my own things. I do this thing sometimes with clients where I go over the different types of boundaries. There are several different types, but there's a thing called mental boundaries. And mental boundaries are like, I am allowed to have my own thoughts and feelings. I do not have to morph to your ideas and feelings to make you more comfortable. And this is when I see a lot of people skip over, especially in relationships, because all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, I think this way, and so you should think this way. Because how we gonna both do this unless we both? And you slowly just see a person sliding away from like who you've known them to be. Because if I'm a person who's a free spirit, right, and you are a person who's controlling and domineering, one of us is going to break. If we
Mm-hmm.
insist that we are being this thing, one of us is either going to change or one of us is going to break. And I see this happen a lot when people don't have mental boundaries of like them, especially when the relationships ends, of them getting out of this relationship and them being like, I don't even know if I believe the things I say anymore. I don't even know if that's how I feel about things. I just know for so long they told me this is how I had to feel about it. They told me I was wrong when I had these feelings. And so I told myself, okay, don't have feelings about this. Don't think about this way and whatever. And I feel like, again, it's because those are one of those big caging behaviors of tone yourself down
Mm-hmm.
and let more of me in into who you are, or more of who society thinks is acceptable into who you are. And again, that can be individuality, but that can also be career, that can also be hobbies, that can be the way that you express yourself. I know I had a homegirl who really struggled. This was a couple years back though, with like boundaries around the way she expressed herself, because same thing, she was another woman with a really strong personality, and she dated a man with a really strong personality, alpha and alpha. And it created an issue because he would always criticize her with the way that she expressed herself. And it made her
Mm-hmm.
question herself. And she had never questioned it before. She was an excellent communicator. She was excellent at trying to find middle grounds. But he didn't want somebody that wanted to find middle grounds. He wanted somebody that immediately submitted.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and going back to, why do cagers feel the need to try to capture, free birds, free spirits? And it's like for him, he learned, this guy really, my synapses, and I am biased because I can't stand this man. I couldn't stand this man. So I will throw that out there. But my synapses of this whole situation is, he wanted a really strong woman who was on top of her stuff career wise, who was like the type of person that come into the room and like, you better not say nothing because she gonna have something back for you. She ain't gonna sit there quiet. She gonna have something back for you.
Mhm.
He just did not want that with him. He wanted to
Yeah.
show off her strongness as like a trophy. Look who I take.
Mhm.
But she don't
Mhm.
try that shit with me.
Mhm.
And that ate away at her self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like we really like in relationships, I think it's even harder. Like if you really do love the mate or the person, you do like, wait, am I too much? Like, is this too much? And you start questioning yourself, and then after a while, you don't even know who you are.
Mhm.
Whereas before, you definitely knew who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like a friend. The friend is like really free spirited like me and fun, free loving, and everybody want everybody to have fun. Everybody has fun, and then she has like a mate that's more like I would say type egg. And she looks at her like, you're just doing too much. I see her tell her she's doing too much and you need to calm down or she's and then telling other people that's just her. That's just her.
Mhm,
So it's just like my friend is just like, you know, she continues to do it, continues to try to live, but anxiety is just like she tried to overcompensate. And like maybe I am. I can see in her face, like she shuts down when she comes
mhm,
around, or she says, well, I gotta, she's gonna be acting different, acting up, this. Yeah, I could just see
mhm.
her shutting down. But it's just
Yeah,
like for me, it makes me sad because it's like
yeah,
she can't live her true happiness because this is her. And it's like just because and this is a perfect example of caging because I can
mhm,
see it in her mate, like just looking at her. And I think in her back of her head, she's jealous that she doesn't have that free spirit. She
yeah,
doesn't like get to like let it out
yeah,
as much as her girlfriends. And I've seen that with a lot of friends, like, and that's
mhm.
been with like even different friends. It's like one person's a beautiful spirit giving free spirit, while the other one's just trying to control, 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 control.
I get it. I think also if you are a person who is an outlier, like you're a little bit different. You've had moments in your life where you're like, I am different. Like I feel very much alone in a room full of 50 people type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you kind of grow up like that, or you have a lot of experiences in your life like that, when people who you love, romantic or friendship, family, make little comments about you being too much, it can sometimes trigger stuff in you about maybe they're right, because maybe that's why I never fit in. Maybe they're right,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
why I always struggled in romantic relationships. Maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
right. And because I think the easy advice to say is like, girl, and you were great. Don't worry about it. But for a lot of us, we've had moments before where people did kind of tell us we was doing too much. People did kind of tell us we were difficult. People did kind of tell us like, why do you do things that way? And that's so, you need to be more like this. And so when someone I love and I let in is telling me those things, I think sometimes you do want to do that self reflection and go, well, maybe I am. And maybe I do need to change. And I think it's good to always be able to do self reflection. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I really want to like get out there is I think we have a bad habit of calling ourselves self aware when here's the thing, being aware of your flaws, but not aware of your goodness is not self awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us say that we are self aware when what we are is just really self critical. We're very aware of our
Mhm,
flaws. We're very aware of our shortcomings, but we don't give ourselves grace. We don't give ourselves nearly enough praise for where we're good at. And so the minute someone adds to that, it's like, oh, well, this is me being accountable. This is me doubling back. And they're probably right. And here's the thing, there's some things they might be right about. There are things I
mhm,
have had to pull back on. This year alone, there's things I had to self correct about myself. One of the things I realized I had to self correct about myself is I need to speak up now versus later. I'm real big on holding things in and just be like, it's fine. I'm not going to address it. I'm not going to address it. I'm going to address it. And then get real mean later. When I finally
I
talk.
get so much resentment. Yeah, so much
Yeah.
resentment. I think we both kinda learned that this year,
Yeah. I
even
think
with
that,
each other, even, like, the easy stuff, you know what I mean? Like, well, we didn't even have no problem, we just didn't wanna talk to you. Like,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just
We
like
kept lying about not staying on business to one another. I think in the
yeah,
man when we accidentally dropped some lore in a conversation, like, wait, you did what? What?
I'm like,
I
"Wait,
don't
what are
remember that.
you talking about?" You had a whole say I'm like, "Wait, what? I'm just giving you space, sis, and you want"
Look, again, we had a whole conversation about how we don't take out parts
Yeah.
of the story when we
Mhm.
talk to one another. No, but like, yeah, so like this year, both of us, we had to do some self-correction. So it's not to say, and people are haters and blah, blah, blah. No, sometimes people are giving you valid advice and some things you do need to be accountable for, and some things you do need to, I mean, look, being a free spirit to kind of just be like, I want this now. I'm going to manifest the money later and blah, blah, blah. And at some point in time, someone might have to sit you down and go, girl, you 38 and you got 3 kids. You need the money now. Stop spending on frivolous stuff.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
tired of taking your babies to get Chick-fil-A because you ain't got no food in the house. Like there are some things that no, yeah, you might
Mhm.
be a free spirit. You do need to correct. There's some things that where you have
Mhm.
responsibilities and now it's negatively impacting the people you're supposed to care and love for. Yeah, there are some of that. So I don't want to say no, that means no accountability. However, I'm saying is also while we're looking at the things that I might need work on, also think about the things about you that are true and that are good.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like for me, I'll use that example where I told you I kind of got on a social justice rant when people were having a very uncomfortable conversation. I did kind of wonder afterwards, like, oh, did I do too much? And this was my first time meeting them folks, and I probably shouldn't have. But then I also was just like, no, because I never want those people to feel comfortable being racist, sexist.
Mhm.
I never again want people, I don't want them people to ever think it's okay to bring that shit around me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't say it in a
yeah.
mean way. I didn't go off on nobody, but I slightly educated them. But okay, y'all. Real life has the facts that are very, very dark. And don't get me wrong, I love dark humor, but like, hey, this isn't humor. This is just dark.
Mhm, mhm.
And I don't think it's cool that we're making light of that.
No. Yeah.
So, do that check in. Yes, there's might be some things like, hey, do I do too much? I need to do that look in, but also do the check in. What are the things I do know to be true about myself? And one of the things I do know to be true about myself is I try to be a safe place for other people. I do know I try to seek out justice and I try to seek out understanding and caring and emotional safety for others. And so when I looked at that situation, was I doing too much? No. I wasn't disrespectful. I wasn't mean. I wasn't loud. I didn't get in nobody's face. But what I did do is that when you guys were having this conversation and y'all was like, haha, why aren't you laughing? I let it be known why I wasn't laughing. I let it be known why it was not
Mhm,
funny because that's a part of who I authentically am. And I feel comfortable in that. And I don't think that's something that needs to change. Do that type of reflection.
mhm.
And because there have
Thank
been
you.
times where I have been like, yo, you doing a lot. And it was true. And I was like, you know what? Did not need to say that. That was me. That was me. That could have said that without being mean. That was some anger that I don't think had anything to do with them. They tapped on the old trauma, old pain.
Mhm.
So they got some stuff I meant to say to some people 10 years ago. Oh, I do need to correct.
Yeah,
Let
go
there be
back
a
to say when
balance.
you say when it's on your mind.
Yeah.
Get it out there. Okay.
So, but let's talk about like on the flip side, the subtle realization when you are being the person trying to tame another person. I feel like I get this one on the side of being a parent. I talk about it all the time. Again, my little baby, she marched to the beat of her own drummer. And it's so hard trying to parent where I'm like, I don't want you to conform. I'm not trying to take away your little individuality. I gotta get you through school though. And having that like little balance of like, hey, but I need you not to grow up to be an asshole. Like I need you to understand, like, yes, individuality, but also like not at the cost of others. Like other people should have to pay for your individuality. So this is when I feel like I understand more the side of a parent because I feel like I'm always trying to be like, am I trying to rein in too much control or when am I like letting too much of the range just run free? So when we're talking about having the subtle realization that, ooh, I am the person trying to tame, this can kind of be like, huh, looking at someone's wild energy and thinking to yourself, yeah, I mean, they would be great if they would just blank, 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 blank. And I could like just settle down a bit, you know? If he could just like he's so pretty. If he could just not talk, if he could just not talk, no one would know. Like, I am here with this 6'5" bimbo. I just, it's this idea of when you're having this thought of like, I like them, but, and you can think of these tweaks that you want to make and you're
The
acting on
change,
them.
yeah. Mhm,
And again, these aren't little tweaks, but these are tweaks that are a core part of who these people are.
mhm.
And I think a lot of times when we see this, it can feel justified because it's like, well, I'm just helping them. I'm just making them better. But did they ask for it? And are they giving you permission to do that? Because sometimes we're
Mhm.
doing little things and we are trying to help. And here's the thing, the person doesn't recognize that's what's happening. Sometimes it's just other people that recognize it. And you're doing this without really the person's consent.
Exactly.
This can feel like over time. And I think when you see this happen over time, it can feel like both of us are starting to resent each other. One or both of us are trying to pull away. And then also, I think when you are the person trying to change, um, especially when a person pulls away because you're nitpicking or you're trying to change things that they're perfectly okay with, it can make you feel really unappreciated.
Mhm.
For you, it could be like, but he can't dress right. I just want him to go out and look good in one picture. That's all I want to do. I just want this man to look good in one freaking picture. But it can feel like to them, like, I don't care about my clothes. They fit, they feel good. This is what I was wearing when you met me. Be okay with that.
It's a hard one.
Look, man,
Wearing
y'all.
girl culture, gym
Those
shoes to
West Indian
polo.
men, let them wear their loud colors, okay? Let them wear their loud colors in their sandals, okay? We know why you there. And he's handling in that area, okay? Let that man wear his loud colors. Let that man's toes be out in peace. I gotta stop dating West Indian men for several reasons. For several reasons. Oh gosh.
Okay. So another example of being the tamer is deep down inside, you might realize that your attempts of controlling them is just fear. It's like root of your fear or that you are not living your truth or that it's just like comparing yourself to them and being like, I guess jealous as well. So deep down, you might realize your attempts to control them are just your fears of them growing more or growing, maybe sometimes growing away from you, or just your fear of not living your whole truth or being your whole self or guarding your own self and just comparing it to them and just, having fears that like they're gonna like move on or that you're not enough. It's just a lot of comparing and a lot of fears. And so you get to trying to control them.
Yeah. And I think another thing with fear is like, I think for some of us, we were kind of like given this list when we were younger, usually by parents, but sometimes by just other people in our lives of like, this is what adulthood is supposed to look like. And
Mhm.
so we saw that it worked for them. It's working for us. And so we're like, okay, I want you to do this list because this is what works for me. This is what worked for my grandparents. This is what worked for my parents. And when someone deviates from that list, it's like, well, but I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what entrepreneurship looks like. You need to go to college and you need to have a 9 to 5 and you need
Mhm.
to have a job with a pension. And
Mhm.
it's like an artist, a rapper, an actor. What you mean? Like, it is this
Mhm.
idea of like, again, the way that I know things to work, I feel safety in that. And you're giving me this new idea and it feels unsafe. And so it triggers me to want you to go back into something that feels like safety to me. And my whole thing with that is like, if you aren't willing to let go of that, you probably shouldn't be with someone who is more of a free spirit, someone who's more of a thinks outside the box type of person, with someone who is more of a adventurous spirit, it was someone who is more of a, okay, let's try it. If it fails, it fails, and then we'll try something else. Um,
Mhm.
I think for a lot of people that is scary. And I think there's lots of ways you can work through it. I've seen couples where one person absolutely terrified and works through, but you have to be willing. And when I say willing, it means like, okay, I am trusting you to do this thing for you, and I am not going to try to control it. I'm going to ask if you want my advice or if you want my help. But when you say no, I will respect it.
Mhm.
And you have to be able to have those rules and balance in place. I know I'm using career right now, but that can look like with a lot of different things. And I think that fear is a big part of all of this. I think sometimes, kind of like you were getting into, like, seeing someone who is so free and they're not following this roadmap, it can be so triggering if your
Mhm.
whole life it's like, I was told, especially if you were like low key abused into it. Some of our parents, it wasn't just like some of us was bullied into the roadmaps that we chose. Some of us
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, and so it can install so much fear for you. And I really suggest you do a check-in. Like when you see your friend out here doing them and it really bothers you, really sit back and like, why does that bother me?
Mhm.
Why am I so mad that she decided to show this side of herself? Why am I so mad that she don't want kids? Why
Yeah,
am I personally
yeah.
really offended by that? Why am I so mad that, she wants to be poly? Why am I triggered by my friend wanting to be poly?
Mhm.
Like really sit and ask yourself those questions because those ain't got nothing to do with you.
At all, that's her
And it's
decision, yeah.
And yet it's probably going back to some type of fear about yourself.
Or that the concept, like you saying, like it was beat into you or
Mhm,
whatever, like you just think that like they're gonna reach some type of consequence because that's what you were taught or that's how you were raised.
mhm,
So you're like, that ain't right. You're gonna get that's not gonna turn out good. But it's just like, no, they were always probably free to be their
mhm.
self and not caged in. So
That might
you were
not work
caged
for
in, so you have to
you,
do the caging. Yeah.
but it works for them. But even with that, like, and I do think that's a big thing that for people is like, because I'm scared that this might happen to you and I'm just trying to protect you. But also, I have found it, so it can also be some like envy of like, but I had to follow the rules and I had to do things good. How dare you not have to follow the rules and make your way? No, you come up here and conform
Mm-hmm.
like I conformed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds like, yeah, but how many people are really jealous? And trust me, I'm a big person of like, I don't think we have as many haters as everybody thinks. Like, I remember when was that, like 2011, where everybody had a high hater shirt and like, it's my haters. I got 10 haters today. I'm on 50 by tomorrow. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I think for most of us, you probably don't have as many haters as you believe. Like, unless you like really well known,
Mm-hmm.
you probably don't have as many haters as you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we underestimate how jealousy can form, especially by people that we love, because you
Yeah.
assume they love me and I'm in communication. I constantly interact with this person, so they can't be jealous of me. But you'll be surprised how jealousy creeps up. And just think of it this way, like think about the people who are fighting so hard to not make education free or like
Mm-hmm.
healthcare free for others.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, it's like, that's crazy. Why don't you want people to get education? Why do you not want the people to read? Like, why do you not want Meemaw to get her medicine?
Exactly.
Like, why does that angry? Why are y'all so mad that you guys will protest about it? And it's like, and when you listen to a lot of these people, if you watch the news and you hear these reporters that go out and talk to the people, you'll hear constantly, I had to pay for my college. I don't think it's fair that y'all don't get to, that y'all get it free. I had to work 7 jobs and I had to work nights and days, barely see my kids to provide for their health care. If I can do it, why can't you? And all that is because I had to go through the pain, because I had to go through this
It's so
conformity that I
that's
did
so
not want. And
mhm,
it crushed my spirit and soul. You should have to do it too. How dare you be brave enough to be like, nah,
to
I
not
can't do
yeah,
that. That's
conform,
not for me.
yeah. Mhm. And you should feel exactly how I felt. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't. Okay.
So let's skip the other two because I think we did good, son. So sometimes that taming feeling can come from insecurity. Yes, it can come from love. Yes, it can come from I am genuinely trying to do better for you, but it can also come from their freedom reminding you of where you feel trapped yourself.
Mhm.
And so do some self reflection of that. Am I doing this because I'm really concerned about them? Okay, if I am really concerned about them, do they want my help? Do they want to change? If the answer is no, okay, then why is it so hard for me to back up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, if it's like, okay, well, no, it's not necessarily, I think they're harming themselves, but I just think I know the best way. I know the better way. And,
They
I
know
did
it's
this. If you feel
yeah.
yourself saying, like, when I did it, it didn't work. And I know, and this is what I got to do. So they should have to do it
Mhm.
too. That's more a reflection of where you feel trapped. And I suggest you sit with that.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, reflect.
Yeah.
Like, why is this bothering me? And you get down to the root of that. It has nothing to do with them. Everything to do with you. So why do we cage free spirits? One of the first ones is like just fear of losing them. A free spirit like moves so unpredictable. So if they're so unpredictable, it's like I can't control this. I don't know if they're gonna leave me, be with me, whatever.
Mhm.
So it's just trying to cage them so they can like hold on to them and it ends up pushing them away in the end. Another one is jealousy of freedom. Watching someone live so unapologetically might trigger you
Mhm.
and your insecurities come out. It's like, I wish that I can live that way. So instead of like embracing it and the freedom and even embracing it within yourself, you try to shrink them as small as you can. Another one is a desire for stability. Free spirits bring on chaos.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. And why And while that chaos is beautiful, it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to some. So caging them feels like a way of regaining control over all the chaos. So, but with this one, and when it is chaos, and I said that earlier, where my life is just it's manageable chaos to me. Like I understand what's going on. I know it's all over the place. So I understand what's going on. But then just trying to cage if somebody like I told you, like you said, you don't like you told me you don't like to follow like the rules. I don't. So when I started to feel like caging in, like you're trying to control me, you're trying to control me. This could be friends, this could be family, this could be my man.
Mhm.
I don't have a man, but it can be my man. It could be any of those things. And if I feel like that's like smothering or I do kind of rebel or I do kind of push away, whereas you can just, join in and embrace it and just notice like you can give me advice because I'm always open for advice. I'm always open for those things, but just being free to say, well, Nick's gonna do it in the way that she wants to do it and just be okay with that. I think that would help instead of just trying to control the chaos that they didn't ask you to control.
Mhm.
So,
And also recognize that sometimes it's not chaos for them.
mhm,
I
mhm,
know for me, like again, professional life's a different thing. I do like order over there. I do like more structure. I do like things, but in my personal life, it can look a bit chaotic at times because I like having several things going on at once. I'm not a person who does well with a lot of downtime. I'm not a person who does well with a lot of like sitting around. And so I know I've had people at times tell me, like, you doing a lot, you're doing too much. And for me, it's like, but that's where I feel in my element. I feel in my element when I'm handling multiple things, where I have multiple projects, when I have
mhm,
multiple interests going on and so forth. Recognizing when it looks like chaos for you does not mean that it feels or looks like chaos to them.
mhm, mhm,
All of us can manage different levels of chaos. Chaos to me is like a type A person's dream. Years ago, I'm gonna say this and go to next, but years ago, there was somebody who we're still friends on social media, but they've like been on a social media break for like a year now. And me and this person used to always write or like exchange messages or comment on each other's stuff. And they were military, and they one time made this post about how type A they were. They're like, I can't even go like if I come in my room and I got like a sweater on the floor, I got some shoes out, not in the closet, like it does too much for me. And I have replied back to them like, it's so funny because I'm the opposite. My mama is a Virgo. Okay. My mom is as type A as they come. I am a Gemini. They gave a Virgo a Gemini child. It was teenhood was a struggle. Teenhood was a struggle. Like a lot
mhm,
of Geminis, I'm very messy. I'm a messy person. I tell people that all the time, especially because I tend to attract a lot of type A men where I'm just gonna be like, we need separate bathrooms because you're not gonna keep yelling at me about my hair being everywhere. Like it just is. It's gonna be there. I need you to be okay with that. You're not gonna keep yelling at me
mhm.
about like, why is there makeup every because I was doing my makeup. And then I got distracted. You know, I have ADHD. So that's why the makeup is still out on the couch. Like
Mhm.
not love me as I am. But anyways, we were like having this conversation. I was telling her like I was the exact opposite. Like when I go, I remember I was dating this guy briefly, and he had one of those like midtown apartments, like just souped up, like you need three different codes to get into the building type apartments. You had to get a code to get on the elevator because it opened right at his door type apartments. And I remember just being like, your apartment looks so sterile. And I hated going to his house because everything was just so dark and sharp and shiny. Like the whole apartment was like gray
Mhm.
and white. And I eat Cheetos. I was just like, nigga, like, I feel like I was gonna mess up things at all times. I'm clumsy. He kept giving me red wine. I'm like, don't give me red wine on this white couch. Like I'm going to
No,
piss you
please
off.
don't.
I'm a
No.
very clumsy person. So me and her
Uh-huh.
were talking about this, and like she was like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like, "Oh, I'm the opposite. When I get in environments like that, it feels like chaos to me. It feels too controlled." And I was like, "I don't know how to function those spaces. I don't like." I really hope my person is not a person that is like sharp edges, only gray and black schemes.
Mhm.
Everything else is going to be per scheme. I'm like, I want a big, comfy couch. It's going to be green.
Just chill out. Yes.
I'm gonna have lots of colors in the living. My bedroom right now is like pink, gold, and green. Like people come in my bedroom all the time. It's
Mhm.
just like there's so much color. And I'm like, yes,
And
that's
this is how I like it. Yes.
yeah. I'm not a minimalist.
Uh-huh.
That feels like it just that feels that type of it feels like controlling environments, and that type of
Mhm.
environment feels like chaos to me. So recognize that
Mhm.
chaos can look and feel like different things for other folks. So while some people it is chaos and they're just comfortable in the chaos, understand for some folks what you think is chaos is not for them. And they are
Yeah.
built for that. And that's okay. So let's talk about like how to stand firm when you do have someone that is a free spirit and someone that is more structured, because it's not saying that it can't work, but it's saying that there needs to be boundaries in order for it to work. You don't have to cage me, but if I am a free spirit, you have to admire me when I fly. You can't keep trying to net me. And the ways that we can do this is like without creating conflict is one, learn how to communicate clearly. This is for either party on both sides. I love you. However, I don't want, we do not need to be connected at the hip. Sometimes I want
Yeah.
to do things without you.
Mhm.
Sometimes I know for me, I love, and you too, both of us like traveling alone. We love traveling with friends. We love traveling with our daughters. We do like an annual mommy daughter trip. Me and you visit each other constantly. But like both of us do trips by ourselves at
Yeah.
least once a year.
Mhm.
And like being like, okay, going back to communicating needs, I still do that when I'm in partnership. Like again, I need a lot of alone time to function.
Yeah, me too.
And
I
while
was
I
thinking
can
about
love my partner to death, and trust me, I can definitely get in my lover girl mode where like I just want to be up under you, I want to cuddle all night, I whatever. I still always will resort back to like, okay, I am about to go do this thing without you. Oh, you don't want me to come? No, nope. I just want to go walk in the museum by myself. I just want to be in my thoughts.
They're just like, you have to give me some space sometimes. You have to give me some space sometimes. Like,
Look, I love being above another person when I really love them, but like with breaks, with
yes,
breaks,
yes,
with breaks. Like I am
yes.
perfectly okay when people are like, "Oh, but my partner travels a lot and it's an issue." I would love a partner that
I
travels a
would
lot.
love that. Like, I would love that. Like, I'm
What?
secure in mine. Like, I'm secure.
Oh my
Like, you
gosh.
go travel, I will have those dates by myself, come back, and it's just like, I miss you now. I want to be around you. That works so great for me. I would not want to see you every day. I'm not trying to be funny, but I wouldn't.
No, I have a
No.
homegirl who dated somebody who like once a month would have to leave for like a week, and then like maybe a weekend. And so like it was like 10 days a month he would be gone, and she'd be like, "It is killing me." I was like, "Do he got a friend? Do he got let me
Yeah,
go
that's
to the company
the
party? Because that's what I'm
coworker.
looking for. If you
Yes,
could
yes.
leave me and my baby alone."
Uh-huh.
We fine. We having
It'd
fun.
be
And it's so,
great.
you know what's so
Great.
funny about that though? Like going back, and I said this earlier, like I feel like it's hard for me with the caging part when it comes to like I think my daughter, because my daughter is just like that, except for I am so clingy when it comes to my daughter, and it annoys her
Mhm.
so much. And I'm trying to do so much better because I just see her and I just want to kiss up on her and hug up on her all the time. And I just want to cuddle with her all the time. And she'd be like, "You are annoying me with your love." It's consistently like, I get it. I am so amazing. If you could like just go over there on that couch, if you could just like not stare at me, because sometimes like she'll
Mhm.
turn and I'm just staring at her like, "You're so beautiful." And she'd be like, I get it. I am so beautiful and amazing. If you could, don't you have a room? Like, why are you? She's
Right.
always like, "Girl, please give me space." And I just like, oh,
Mhm.
I love you
I love
so
on you.
much.
Right.
So I get it. I get meeting people and loving people like that. I haven't
Mhm.
experienced with someone who was not created in my womb yet. But all that to say is communicate. Okay. I
Yeah.
am a person who needs a lot of space. Are you going to be okay with that? Because here's the thing, I don't function well with it. And I could
Mhm.
try to conform for you, but this is it's going to lead to resentment for me. I'm in my
Mhm.
30s. I know
Mhm.
now that if I don't get this space, all it leads to is me being bitchy and resenting you. This
Mhm.
is something you can handle or not.
Yeah.
Maybe there can
Yeah.
be a turning point, which meaning like, okay, I guess every weekend I won't disappear. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, but that means like at least one day a week. And again, that communication and being clear and honest. The other thing is stay true to your values. Don't shrink yourself to make somebody else comfortable, which kind of goes into what we were just saying before. If you know this is a thing about you, again, for me and Nique both is I need alone time. Don't chip away at those things because, okay, well, it really doesn't. That might be one of those things you need to reevaluate. Can this be a relationship for me? Is this something that can
Mhm.
last? Because this is something I need to function at a level that feels healthy and functional for me. Be true to who you are. If after I communicate, it does not feel like it's going to match, if it feels like the ways in which I am willing to compromise is not enough for you, and the ways that you're willing
Mhm.
to compromise is not enough for me, then let's be honest. Can this friendship work in the way that we've been having it work? Can this relationship work in a way that is having to work? It's not to say automatically give up, but it's to say, don't learn how to love without giving yourself fully away. Learn how to love without giving so much of yourself away that there's none of you left for you.
Mhm.
And finally, kind of like I said, if you have to walk away, be okay to walk away. Sometimes the compromise still is a cage.
Mhm.
And cage birds who are meant to be in a wild, they don't last as long. Their quality of life sucks. Their life expectancy is shorter. Sometimes it's simply not worth it. And if it's not worth it, be okay with walking away so you can still preserve you.
Mhm. So the truth of the matter is, free spirits are meant to challenge us, force us to confront our fears and expand our horizons. And while we are tempted to like close them in and not let them be free, the real magic is just letting them be free and run and discover for themselves. So yeah.
So, guys, that's all we have for today's episode. We hope you guys enjoyed. We will have a new episode coming up for you guys Sundays. If you haven't already, follow us on She Wolf Alchemy on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok at She Wolf Alchemy Podcast, where we'll have clips of us discussing the episode. Leave us a review wherever you are listening. Leave us a review with some words. We love it. We love when y'all leave reviews and comments. And
Mhm.
that's all we have for today. Bye.
Bye.